Have you ever felt like you're fighting alone in a marriage, working yourself to the bone day and night, yet in the eyes of your wife and her family, you're nothing more than a walking ATM? This is the story of Daniel Harper, a husband whose love was repaid with poison. His wife demanded the latest iPhone, his brother-in-law begged for a four-cylinder sport motorcycle, and his mother-in-law insisted on a luxury designer handbag worth the price of a car. The threat was clear and merciless. Either fund our lifestyle or we divorce. Daniel stayed silent. He smiled and said softly, "All right, I'll give you everything." They cheered, convinced they had won. What they didn't realize was this: the smile of a patient man is the most dangerous warning of all. They never imagined that those luxury gifts were actually tickets to a living hell, carefully prepared by Daniel himself. How did Daniel destroy their arrogance without laying a single finger on them? And what happened to that greedy family when debt collectors began knocking on their door, while the husband had already vanished without a trace? But before the story begins, please comment below which state or city you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe so Stories with Meaning can continue bringing you powerful stories like this. The clinking of silverware against ceramic plates was the only sound filling the dining room. Not a peaceful silence, but a suffocating one. The air felt heavy, as if the oxygen in the room belonged to the three people sitting across from me, leaving barely enough for me to breathe. My name is Daniel Harper, and tonight, like hundreds of nights before, I felt like a stranger in my own home. A house whose mortgage I paid with sweat and blood, yet whose deed had been forced into my wife's name, Sophia Harper. I glanced at the dinner table. In front of Sophia, her mother, Margaret Collins, and her younger brother, Ryan Collins, were plates of sizzling steak, still steaming and rich with aroma. In front of me, cold white rice from yesterday and a single piece of limp fried tofu. "What's wrong? Not tasty enough?" Margaret's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. A middle-aged woman with overly arched eyebrows that made her look perpetually judgmental. I shook my head slowly, forcing the rice down my throat like gravel. "No, Mom, it's fine." "Ch," Ryan scoffed while cutting into his steak aggressively. "Daniel just has no taste. That's why his career never goes anywhere, not like Eric Mitchell." That name again. Eric. Sophia's ex-boyfriend. A so-called successful entrepreneur. A name they used whenever they wanted to crush my dignity. Sophia didn't even look at me. Her eyes were glued to her phone, its corner slightly cracked. "This phone is trash. Embarrassing to bring to social gatherings. Lily already has the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Her husband actually loves her." I put my fork down. "Soph, your phone is still new. We just bought it last year," I said gently. She slammed the phone onto the table. "Are you blind? This is some outdated Android. The camera is awful. All my friends have the latest iPhone. Do you even realize how pathetic you are?" Her voice rose sharply. "Low salary, can't make your wife happy, all you can afford is tofu." My stomach churned. "And it's not just her," Margaret added coldly. "Look at my handbag, 2 years old, the leather's peeling. Next week is the big family reunion. What will people say if I show up with a cheap bag? I want an Hermes Birkin, and don't even think about buying another cheap one like last year." "And me," Ryan chimed in with his mouth full, "my scooter is embarrassing. I want a Kawasaki Ninja ZX25R. With a cool bike, I'll be confident enough to get a real job." I stared at them one by one. An iPhone worth thousands of dollars? a luxury bag, a high-performance sport bike. Meanwhile, my paycheck was already gone. Utilities, credit card bills, and Sophia's maxed-out shopping debt. My work shoes were torn at the heel, patched with industrial glue. "Where do you think the money comes from?" I whispered. They laughed. "That's your problem as the man of the house," Margaret sneered. "If you can't afford it, why did you marry her?" Sophia crossed her arms. "Eric just texted me. He said if I were single, he'd take care of me, buy me anything I want." The words struck my heart like lightning. "If you can't meet our needs," she continued coldly, "we should just divorce. I'll marry Eric. At least Mom and Ryan will live comfortably." Silence. I looked down at my plate. For 5 years, I endured everything. Overtime shifts, side hustles, selling my late father's watch, taking all the debt under my name so theirs stayed clean. I loved Sophia sincerely, but tonight, between steak and cold rice, something inside me snapped. Or maybe finally awakened. They weren't family. They were parasites. And parasites, if left alive, eventually kill the host. Slowly, the corner of my lips lifted. "All right," I said calmly. They froze. "You mean you'll buy them?" Margaret's eyes widened. I nodded. An iPhone 15 Pro Max in titanium for Sophia, and real Hermes Birkin for Mom, and a brand new Ninja ZX25R for Ryan. The room exploded with excitement. They didn't ask where the money came from. Greed had erased their logic. "When?" Sophia asked eagerly. "Tomorrow. I'll cash out my early retirement fund." They praised me, fed me steak, smiled at me. They had no idea. That word gift carried another meaning. That night, while they celebrated, I opened a locked drawer in my study. Inside were copies of their IDs, documents they once gave me for insurance paperwork. I picked up a pen. "You want luxury?" I whispered. "I'll give it to you. But every luxury has a price." This wasn't shopping. This was the most expensive prank of their lives. A beautiful trap they would regret long after I disappeared.
Her eyes glistened with tears of emotion, not tears of gratitude, but tears of pride swelling inside her chest. Finally, her social status was about to skyrocket. "Thank God," Margaret said with a trembling voice. "I always knew you were a good man, Daniel. Forgive me if I was a little harsh yesterday. It was just motivation." Motivation. So humiliating a husband's dignity was now called motivation. I nodded slowly, hiding my cold smirk behind my coffee cup. Then I spoke, and instantly the room fell silent again. "But—" Their faces stiffened. "But what?" Sophia snapped, her real tone almost slipping out. "Don't tell me you're backing out." "No, sweetheart, of course not," I said calmly. "It's just, this is a large amount of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars." I looked at them one by one, serious and convincing. "I want these items to truly belong to you. I don't want people thinking they're mine later if something happens." Their eyes widened. "So everything will be under your names." "The motorcycle under Ryan's name, so the title shows his own name. The iPhone under Sophia's, so the warranty is easy. And the bag under Mom's." "Oh, that's a great idea," Ryan said quickly. "So if I ever sell it, I won't have to borrow your ID." Idiot. He was already thinking about selling it. "That's exactly why," I continued smoothly. "To release the funds and process the purchases under your names, I'll need your personal documents, driver's licenses, family records, and tax IDs if you have them. My investment manager needs them for verification. I'll handle the taxes." The phrase, "taxes covered," was the magic key. People like them never say no to that. "Oh, just ID cards?" Margaret laughed. "Easy." She rushed to her room, followed by Sophia and Ryan. Less than 5 minutes later, 3 original IDs and family documents lay on the dining table. Documents that would become the keys to their destruction. "Here you go," Sophia said casually. "The photo's ugly, but the date is correct." I took the card. This thin piece of plastic in my hand wasn't just an ID. It was a power of attorney to ruin their lives. With this data, I could apply for luxury installment plans with crushing interest, long-term personal loans, and every financial snare imaginable. "All right, I'll take these," I said, sliding them into my shirt pocket. "I'll handle everything this afternoon. Relax at home and prepare yourselves. Your luxury items will arrive tonight or tomorrow morning." "Yes, boss," Ryan saluted jokingly. I stood up, grabbed my worn-out work bag. "I'm heading to work. Pray everything goes smoothly." "Be careful, honey. Love you," Sophia called sweetly. I stepped outside and closed the gate. But I didn't leave. I stopped behind the wall. I wanted to hear what they'd say once the money source was gone. Right on cue, laughter exploded inside the house. "So easy to fool him," Ryan laughed. "Last night he was almost crying. Turns out he's loaded." "That's why men need to be threatened first," Sophia said smugly. "If I hadn't threatened divorce and marrying Eric, he'd never touch his secret savings." "Cheap bastard. You have to bait him." Margaret's voice followed, cold and calculating. "Let him spend everything on us. Once he's broke again, you divorce him for real, Sophia. Then go back to Eric with a brand new iPhone and handbag." "So smart, Mom. You're a genius." Their laughter echoed. My fists clenched until my nails dug into my palms. My blood boiled, yet my mind was colder than ice. "You think you've won. You think I'm a sheep to be milked and slaughtered?" I pulled out my phone. I took backup photos of all 3 IDs, then sent a message to a contact saved as "Fast Credit Services Priority." "Data ready. Max out all limits as planned. Goods shipped to the house. Bills and digital statements sent to the emails I created." I walked away from that cursed house. My steps felt light. You want heaven on earth? I'll give it to you. But don't be surprised when the entry ticket is financial hell. The sun had set when I parked my old motorcycle in front of the house. In my hand was a thick blue folder. It felt heavy, not because of the papers inside, but because it contained the sentences of their future. The moment I opened the door, strong perfume hit my nose. The living room looked like a hotel lobby. Sophia wore her best satin nightgown. Ryan already had a leather jacket on, despite not owning a bike yet. Margaret sat upright with full makeup, ready. They were waiting for their prizes. "Where is it?" Sophia rushed me. "Why are you just carrying a folder?" "Where's the iPhone?" Ryan shouted toward the street. I sighed deeply and threw the blue folder on the table. "Relax," I said irritably, on purpose. "You think buying things worth hundreds of thousands of dollars is like buying snacks?" They exchanged uneasy glances. "Is there a problem?" Margaret asked suspiciously. "The items are paid in full, but—" "But what?" Ryan pressed. "The dealers need legal verification. These are luxury items registered under your names, and none of you have a large credit history." I opened the folder. "They need written guarantees." "What are these documents?" Sophia asked. "All-in-one protection package," I replied confidently. "Lifetime international warranty, total loss insurance, asset ownership statements. Without signatures, nothing leaves the warehouse tonight." "Ah, so complicated," Sophia complained. "Just sign, right?" "Yes, just a lot of signatures." My heart pounded. These papers were actually multi-purpose loan contracts from a non-bank finance company with obscene interest rates and fully maxed-out digital loans. I had arranged the pages carefully. The debt clauses and 4% monthly interest were folded and hidden. Only the signature boxes and tax stamps were visible. "Sign here," I said, covering the word borrower with my thumb. Sophia grabbed the pen. She didn't read a single word. Scratch, scratch. "Next page for screen insurance." Sign. "Battery replacement claim." Sign. She had just signed a $30,000 debt acknowledgement as casually as signing autographs. Now Mom's turn. Margaret hesitated, squinting. What's this authorization for deduction? I laughed lightly. Oh, that? Standard procedure. If the bag needs repair in Paris, you authorize warranty adjustments. If you're unsure, we can cancel, but the Hermes won't ship tonight. The word cancel killed her logic. All right, I trust you, she signed. That signature approved monthly installments secured against her widow pension, data I had secretly copied weeks earlier. Now our hero, I turned to Ryan. He snatched the pen eagerly. Where do I sign? Here for registration, here for title, here for accident insurance, here for engine coverage. He signed everything. A motorcycle priced far above market value, now fully his debt. Done, he grinned. So when do they arrive? I closed the folder carefully. Inside weren't papers anymore, but their mortgaged souls. In an hour, I said calmly. Exclusive courier. I headed to the bathroom and locked the door. I stared at myself in the mirror. Was I evil? Maybe, but remembering they planned to discard me once I was broke, any guilt vanished. I pulled out my phone. I took backup photos of all 3 IDs, then sent a message to a contact saved as Fast Credit Services Priority. Signed documents ready. Enjoy your temporary luxury, I whispered. Because after this, every knock on the door won't be a courier, but the executioner of your finances. Outside, a delivery truck honked. Sophia screamed excitedly. That's the iPhone. The party had begun, and I would enjoy it from the very back row.
Sophia screamed while jumping up and down on the sofa. Her hands trembled as she peeled off the plastic seal of the iPhone 15 Pro Max box. An unboxing video, of course, recorded for her Instagram story. "Hey guys, my new baby is finally here," she squealed into the camera. "Thanks, Mom, because I totally deserve this." Not once did she mention my name. On the front porch, the roar of an engine shattered the quiet afternoon. Ryan was revving the Kawasaki Ninja ZX25R, its 4-cylinder engine screaming violently. To most people, it was deafening. To him, it was a symphony. "Damn, that sound is insane, bro!" Ryan shouted at me as I stood by the gate. He stroked the fuel tank as if it were the most beautiful woman in the world. "Tomorrow, I'm taking this to the hangout spot. That punk Jason will cry when he sees me." Inside the living room, Margaret knelt on the carpet as if worshiping an idol. In front of her sat the Hermes Birkin bag she believed was authentic, a high-grade luxury replica financed under her own name. She inhaled the scent of the leather deeply. "Smells different, doesn't it, Dan?" she murmured with her eyes closed. "Smells like wealth. At the next social gathering, I'll sit in the front row. Let that arrogant Susan choke on jealousy." I stood silently at the doorway between the kitchen and the living room, a quiet spectator of this circus of greed. Not one of them looked at me and said, "Thank you, Daniel." To them, I was nothing more than an ATM that had just spit out cash, now irrelevant. "Hey, Daniel," Sophia called, without turning around. Her eyes were glued to the new screen. "Grab the charger from the box, will you? And throw away the trash, too. It's cluttering the place." I smiled faintly. "Yes, ma'am." I gathered the plastic wrapping of their luxury, cardboard boxes, bubble wrap, receipts with installment details already cut off. I stuffed everything into a large black trash bag. Then I walked into the kitchen, not to make coffee, but to cook one final dinner. There was leftover steak from last night and some fresh vegetables. I decided to cook black pepper steak and corn cream soup, their favorite meals. I wanted them full. I wanted them to sleep peacefully, because starting tomorrow, peaceful sleep would become a luxury they could no longer afford. The aroma of black pepper filled the room, competing with the scent of new leather. "What are you cooking? Smells amazing," Ryan said, entering the kitchen, twirling his motorcycle key in his fingers. "That's what I'm talking about," Ryan laughed, slapping my back hard. "Oh, by the way, that bike drinks fuel like crazy. Tomorrow, lend me some gas money, yeah? Like $50. My wallet's empty." A man who had just received a $130,000 motorcycle was asking for gas money. "Relax," I said calmly. "Tomorrow you'll learn how to earn gas money yourself." "Huh? What do you mean?" "I mean, tomorrow I'll give it to you. Now go wash your hands. Dinner's ready." Dinner was lively, but I wasn't the center of attention. The objects were. Sophia placed her phone beside her plate, afraid it might get scratched. Margaret put her bag on the empty chair next to her, as if it were the guest of honor. Ryan ate while glancing repeatedly out the window, making sure his bike was still there. They ate greedily, laughing, planning their futures. "After this, I'm getting a facial," Sophia chirped. "My selfies with this phone have to glow." "I'm going on a mountain ride," Ryan added. "I need new clothes to match this bag," Margaret smiled. I chewed slowly, silently enjoying every second of their stupidity. In my head, the countdown had begun. 12 hours until the first billing notifications hit their inboxes. 24 hours until digital debt collectors started calling. 30 days until the motorcycle would be repossessed. "Why are you so quiet, Dan?" Sophia asked casually. "Aren't you happy?" I set down my fork and looked at my wife for the last time. Beautiful face, rotten heart. "I'm happy, Soph," I said calmly. "Very happy to see you all like this. It feels like my job is finally done." "Well, of course it is," Margaret replied lightly. "You already bought everything." After dinner, they returned to their toys. The TV blared a comedy show no one was actually watching. Their laughter blended with the noise. Quietly, I went into the bedroom. I opened my small closet and packed lightly. 3 work outfits, 1 jacket, my personal documents, diploma, birth certificate, marriage certificate, and an old laptop. Everything went into a black backpack I had hidden under the bed since yesterday. No suitcase, no suspicion. On the vanity table lay my wallet. I took back my salary debit card, empty but mine. Then I placed a thick white envelope on the vanity table, right beside Sophia's hairbrush. Inside was not money. Inside were copies of the loan contracts they had signed. Total debt, $350,000, under all 3 of their names, and 1 handwritten note from me. Yesterday's gifts were my farewell souvenirs. The installments are your punishment. Enjoy the life you asked for. Don't look for me. The man you knew is dead. I slung the backpack over my shoulder, inhaled the room one last time. The smell of betrayal. I walked out quietly. In the living room, they were still laughing. Sophia was on a video call showing off her phone. "Yeah, my husband finally knows his place," she laughed. That laughter followed me to the back door. I turned the lock slowly. Cool night air rushed in, free and sharp. I looked back once more at their careless backs. "Goodbye," I whispered. Outside, no luxury car waited for me, only a rideshare vehicle I had booked at the end of the street. Yet it felt more luxurious than any Rolls-Royce. This was freedom. Behind me, a time bomb was ticking, and I wouldn't be there when it exploded. The morning after. Morning sunlight pierced through the half-open curtains, landing directly on Sophia's face. She groaned and pulled the blanket over her head. The digital clock read 9 o'clock. Late. Usually, Daniel would wake her up with warm tea and breakfast. She reached for the other side of the bed. Empty, cold, neatly made. "Daniel!" she yelled groggily. "Why didn't you wake me? I have a salon appointment at 10. Silence. No rushing footsteps. Annoyed, she stomped towards the vanity. That's when she saw it. A thick white envelope. No sender name. Only Daniel's neat handwriting. For my beloved wife and her family. A strange feeling crept up her spine. Daniel never wrote letters. She tore it open eagerly. No cash fell out, only photocopied documents and a handwritten letter. Her smile vanished as she read. Sophia, Mom, and Ryan, by the time you read this, I will be far away. Don't look for me at work. I resigned a week ago. Don't look for me at my parents' house. They won't welcome liars. You wanted luxury. You said I was useless without an iPhone, a sport bike, and a designer bag. Your wishes have been granted. But remember, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Check the attachments. Her heart pounded. She grabbed the documents. Her eyes widened. Her breath caught. At the top of the first page, in bold capital letters, Multi-Purpose Financing Agreement, Leasing Company. Borrower, Sophia Harper. Object, iPhone 15 Pro Max 1 terabyte / cash loan. Principal debt, $45,000. Interest, 4.5% per month. Installment, $3,500 for 24 months. Late penalty, 0.5% per day. She flipped the page. Borrower, Ryan Collins. Object, Kawasaki Ninja ZX25R. Total debt, $130,000. Installment, $5,200 for 36 months. Third page. Borrower, Margaret Collins. Object, designer bag / pension-backed cash loan. Total debt, $60,000. Automatic deduction, 80% of monthly pension. Her hands shook. No, this is a lie. Her face, once glowing with pride, turned pale as a corpse.
On the last page, there was an additional handwritten note from Daniel Harper. All of these debts are legally valid because you signed every contract knowingly and without coercion. There is CCTV footage from the spy pan in my shirt pocket while you signed. I did not take a single dollar from the loans. The money was already used to purchase the items you are holding right now. Any remaining cash was used to pay off your old debts, including Sophia's online slot gambling debts and Ryan's credit arrears that I had been secretly covering for years. So starting next month, we're even. Please enjoy paying for your own lifestyle. Congratulations, Daniel Harper, your former husband. Sophia's scream pierced the morning silence. The shrill sound was so loud it felt as if the window glass vibrated. Bang! The bedroom door flew open. Ryan Collins and Margaret Collins rushed in, panic written across their faces. "What happened, Soph? A thief? A roach?" Ryan asked, still wearing his sleep shorts. Sophia collapsed onto the floor, hysterical, flinging the papers at them. "A thief! A thief! That bastard husband of mine robbed us blind!" "Robbed what? Where's Daniel?" Margaret muttered in confusion as she picked up the scattered documents. Ryan grabbed the page with his name on it. His sleepy eyes widened instantly. $5,200 per month. "What the hell is this? Why is there a bill under my name?" Ryan yelled. "I don't even have a job. How am I supposed to pay this?" Margaret read her own document next. Her hands shook violently. 80% of my pension is pledged. That means I'll only receive $500 a month." Her voice cracked. "What are we supposed to eat?" Sophia wailed, tears washing away last night's makeup. "It's all your fault. You wanted luxury. Daniel ran away after trapping us. He left us with hundreds of thousands in debt." "That bastard," Ryan cursed and sprinted toward the garage, hoping the motorcycle was gone. It was still there, but now the Ninja looked less like a vehicle and more like a metal beast waiting to devour his life. Ryan tried calling Daniel. "The number you have dialed is unavailable." He threw his phone onto the couch. He really ran. Margaret slumped onto the bed. The Hermes Birkin she worshipped last night now lay on the floor, worthless. We were fooled by the man we thought was stupid. The atmosphere of the house shifted completely. Last night's celebration evaporated. Sophia stared at the iPhone in her hand. A notification popped up. "Herman, hey beautiful, still meeting today?" A spark of hope ignited. "Herman," she whispered, "he'll help. He's rich. He loves me." She wiped her tears and stood up, eyes sharp. "Stop crying. We still have Herman. I'll ask him to settle everything." She smirked. "Daniel thinks he destroyed us. I'll prove I can live even more luxuriously without him." A bold sentence, empty and hollow. Denial, the final stage before reality strikes harder. They didn't know Daniel had already calculated Herman into the equation, and Herman was not the hero they were hoping for. An hour later, the house smelled of excessive luxury perfume. Sophia was fully dressed, her swollen eyes hidden under thick concealer and dark eyeshadow. She wore her best dress, as if attending a gala. "Remember," she instructed her mother and brother, "don't look desperate. We have to look classy." Ryan nodded. "I hid the billing documents in the drawer." Margaret hugged the Birkin tightly, the ticking financial bomb. A car horn echoed outside. Not a cheap motorcycle horn, but the deep, authoritative sound of a European sedan. They stood up together. Ryan opened the door. A modified old BMW 3 Series sat outside. Out stepped Herman, mid-30s, slim-fit shirt, top buttons undone, thick gold chain gleaming. "Hello, family," he greeted confidently. "Herman!" Sophia rushed into his arms like he was oxygen itself. "Missed you so much!" He smiled, eyes wandering over her body. "So, already a widow?" The words sounded crude, but to this family it sounded like music. "Yes," Margaret chimed in quickly. "That loser Daniel ran away." Inside, Herman was treated like royalty. Ryan rushed to bring an ashtray as Herman lit an expensive cigarette. "So, Daniel gave up?" he asked arrogantly, exhaling smoke. "He realized he wasn't on my level," she lied sweetly. "He left behind some debts." "How much?" Herman asked casually. "About 350,000. Herman choked. 350,000? Sophia squeezed his hand. "That's nothing for a big businessman like you, right?" Margaret added tearfully. "If this bag gets repossessed, I'll be embarrassed." Herman froze. The truth was far from glamorous. The BMW was a daily rental. The watch was a high-grade replica. His coal business was a struggling brokerage. Hearing 350,000, his courage evaporated. "Well, Soph," he coughed, "my assets are frozen." Excuses followed. Corporate tokens, frozen funds, investors from China. Ryan frowned. "Can't you just use mobile banking?" Herman snapped. "You don't understand high-level business." Eventually, Herman stood up. "I have to go. Emergency meeting." He kissed Sophia's cheek quickly. "Don't worry. Consider it settled." And he left. From the window, Ryan saw Herman on the phone, face tense, not successful. Inside, Sophia smiled in relief. "Told you, Mom, he'll help." At the same time, Herman was blocking Sophia's number, deleting her contact, and planning to move apartments. Crazy woman. I was looking for a rich widow, ended up finding a debt disaster. 30 days passed. 30 days of denial and anxiety. Sophia stared at her phone again. "The number you have dialed is busy," she whispered weakly. Herman's profile picture was gone, just a gray circle. Margaret hugged the dusty Birkin. "But Soph, yesterday the motorcycle leasing company sent a final notice." The real knocking was about to begin. "Today's supposed to be the last day," Margaret whispered nervously. "Relax, Mom," Ryan Collins shouted from the front porch. He was polishing his Kawasaki Ninja until it gleamed like a mirror. "The leasing company won't dare take it. This bike is mine. The registration is under my name. If they try anything, I'll call the cops." Ryan felt heroic, powerful. He forgot one thing. He had signed a fiduciary agreement, one that granted the leasing company the right to repossess without court approval in case of default. Suddenly, the sound of another engine approached. Not the refined roar of a sport bike, but the rattling growl of an old commuter motorcycle with a broken exhaust. Two bikes stopped right in front of the gate. 4 large men stepped down. Sunburned skin, worn black leather jackets, hard faces, no smiles. Ryan's heart skipped a beat. He knew exactly who they were. "Who the hell are you?" Ryan barked, forcing confidence into his voice. The biggest man with a long scar across his cheek ignored him. His eyes went straight to the ninja's license plate. "Plate number B4554, registered to Ryan Collins?" he asked flatly. "Yeah, that's me. Why?" "We're from North Star Leasing Services." The man handed over a worn red folder. "Unit repossession order. First installment unpaid. Penalties already running. No payment received whatsoever. Under Article 4 of the fiduciary contract, we are repossessing the unit today." Ryan laughed nervously. "Oh, hell no!" He spread his arms protectively in front of the bike. "This is my bike. My brother-in-law paid it off. You guys trying to scam me?" The commotion drew Sophia Harper and Margaret Collins outside. "What's going on?" Margaret screamed. "You thugs trying to rob us? I'll report you to the neighborhood association." "Go ahead, ma'am," the man replied calmly, pulling out a photocopied document. "This is the credit agreement, signed by Ryan Collins. Principal debt, $2,000. 0 paid." He tapped the paper. "This motorcycle doesn't belong to you or him. It belongs to the company until it's fully paid." "That's a lie," Sophia snapped, though her knees trembled as she saw her brother's signature. "My husband said it was just insurance." "Whether your husband lied or not is your family's problem," the man said coldly. "Our concern is the unit." He gestured to his men. "Take it." "Don't touch it!" Ryan lunged forward, shoving one of them. A fatal mistake. In one swift motion, the scarred man grabbed Ryan by the collar, lifted his skinny body with one hand, and slammed him onto the asphalt like a discarded rag doll. Thud. "Help! Robbery!" Margaret screamed. Neighbors gathered, security guards, the HOA head, women Ryan used to show off to. No one intervened. "See? All style, no substance. Dead credit." "Good. That bike was noisy every night anyway." 2 men expertly unlocked the bike using a master key. The engine started. "No! That's my bike!" Ryan crawled on the ground, clutching the rear tire, sobbing like a child who lost his candy. "That's my pride! Give it back!" The scarred man looked at him with disgust. "If you want a flashy life, kid, don't pay with signatures alone." They revved the engine and rode away. Ryan's pride, his status symbol, gone. He lay face down on the asphalt, pounding the road, crying shamelessly. Sophia and Margaret stood frozen at the gate, pale. Then Sophia's phone rang. Not Herman, an unknown number. "Hello?" she answered, hands shaking. "Good afternoon. This is EverTrust Bank Credit Card Collections. Miss Sophia Harper, your iPhone installment and personal loan are due today. Total due this month, $350 including penalties. When will you be paying?" Sophia dropped the phone. The iPhone 15 Pro Max hit the porch floor. Crack. The screen shattered, just like their lives. Margaret stared at the Birkin bag in her arms. It suddenly felt unbearably heavy, like it was alive, ready to bite her throat. "Sophia," she whispered in horror. "My pension didn't come in this month." They looked at each other. Pure fear. Daniel hadn't been bluffing. Daniel Harper was killing them slowly. Sophia checked WhatsApp again. Herman's profile was gone. The last message, single checkmark. "He ran, Mom," Sophia whispered. "Herman ran." In the distance, Ryan was still crying in the street, laughed at by children riding bicycles past him. The family had collapsed, but the terror had only just begun. Tuesday, a day of precision destruction. Tuesday should have been an ordinary workday for Sophia and a glamorous social gathering day for Margaret, but Daniel had scheduled their downfall with surgical precision. 10 a.m., Sophia's office. Sophia sat at the reception desk of a mid-sized private company. Her face was haggard, eyes swollen. Her cracked iPhone vibrated non-stop in the drawer. She turned it off, terrified of debt collectors. Daniel knew she would. That's why in every digital lender and credit card form Sophia signed without reading, Daniel listed her office number as the primary emergency contact. Ring, ring. Good morning, Horizon Solutions. How may I help you? Sophia answered weakly. Sophia Harper, pay your debt. The man's voice was so loud she pulled the receiver away. Sir, this is an office. I know. You turned off your phone. We'll terrorize your workplace until you pay. Click. The phone rang again and again. Within minutes, every department was flooded with automated collection calls. Office operations collapsed. Suddenly, two men in leather jackets walked into the lobby, different from the bike repossession crew. This was the cash loan enforcement team. Where's Sophia? One of them roared. All employees turned. Sophia slumped in her chair, wishing the floor would swallow her. Too late. There she is. Bang! They slammed the reception desk. Pretty girl, elite style, but can't pay debts? We're waiting on $400 plus interest. Don't make us set up camp here. Please, don't shout, Sophia begged, tears streaming. Not embarrassed taking loans, but embarrassed being called out? The chaos drew the boss out of his office. Sophia, he shouted, into my office, now. 10 minutes later, Sophia walked out with holding a cardboard box. She was fired, without severance. Reason? Damaging the company's reputation and disrupting operations. She exited the skyscraper with empty hands. Unemployed. In debt. Still hunted. 1 p.m. Luxury restaurant, Margaret's social club. Margaret sat at a round table with her elite social friends. She placed the Birkin bag prominently on the table. Oh my, new bag? One woman sneered. Is it real? Of course, Margaret replied arrogantly. My son-in-law bought it. I thought he was just an employee, another mocked. That was before. He's successful now. Margaret lied again. The lie had become an addiction. Then the waiter arrived with the bill. It was Margaret's turn to treat everyone. Total, $200. Confidently, she handed her pension debit card. Go ahead. 5 minutes later, the waiter returned awkwardly. Ma'am, the card was declined. Insufficient funds. Account frozen. What? Try again. Already tried 3 times. Whispers spread. So rich but can't pay lunch? Bet the bag's fake too. Cold sweat poured down Margaret's face. Daniel had already auto-debited 80% of her pension the moment it came in. Before she could recover, 2 well-dressed men entered. Quiet, polite, terrifying. They stopped at her table. Ms. Margaret Collins, we're from Luxury Asset Finance. They pointed at the Birkin. Due to default and revoked guarantor status, we are repossessing the collateral. No! Margaret clutched the bag. This is mine. I'll call the police. You may, the man replied calmly. All documents are complete. They pulled the bag from her arms. Glasses clinked. Plates shifted. She lost. Thank you for your cooperation, the man said coldly, walking away with the bag. Silence. Then laughter. Oh, wow. Turns out it was a credit bag. Taken during lunch. How classy. Margaret felt her world collapse. She stood up, her legs trembling. She had no money to pay for the food. She had no bag. She had no dignity left. I need to go to the restroom for a minute, Sophia Harper muttered. That was her excuse. She slipped out through the restaurant's back kitchen door, running away and leaving her friends behind, furious, forced to cover her unpaid bill. That afternoon, inside a stifling rental house, 3 broken people gathered in the living room. Ryan Collins sat on the floor, his eyes swollen from crying. His motorcycle was gone. Sophia sat silently, holding a cardboard box containing the last remnants of her office belongings. She had just become unemployed. And Margaret Collins, Sophia's mother, had walked home on foot without her luxury bag and had been removed from her social savings WhatsApp group. They sat in silence. There was no more blaming each other. They were exhausted. All that remained was fear. Tomorrow, Ryan's hoarse voice shattered the stillness. Tomorrow the bank people are coming. They're going to seize this house. Turns out the property certificate was also pawned by Daniel Harper using our authorization. Sophia stared at the ceiling where water slowly seeped through cracked paint. We have to leave tonight, Sophia whispered. If we stay here, we'll either die or lose our minds. Go where, sis? Ryan sobbed. We don't have any money. Anywhere, Sophia replied hollowly. As long as it's not here. I don't care if we become homeless. I just don't want to see those debt collectors ever again. That night, like fugitives, they packed their remaining belongings into instant noodle boxes. No luxury items remained, only worn-out clothes. They prepared to live a new life, a life like rats hiding in sewers. Exactly as Daniel had planned. 3 months later. 3 months had passed since that night, but for the Collins family, it felt like 3 centuries. They now lived in a tiny 10-by-10-foot rental unit on the outskirts of an American city, hidden deep inside a maze of narrow, muddy alleys. The walls were damp. The peeling paint looked like diseased skin. No air conditioner, only a small, dusty fan that rattled endlessly every time it turned. It's unbearably hot, Sophia muttered, fanning her sweaty neck with a piece of cardboard. Her expensive silk dresses had long been sold at a flea market for $3 just to buy rice. Now she wore a torn, faded house dress. At least we still have a roof, Ryan said quietly from the corner. He was peeling onions. Yes, Ryan, once the would-be owner of a ZX25R sport bike, now worked as a contract onion peeler. He earned $1 for every large sack. His once smooth hands were rough, permanently reeking of onions. Margaret lay on a thin foam mattress that had sunk in the middle. She had been sick ever since her Hermes bag was repossessed. Not physically sick, mentally broken. She often muttered in her sleep, calling the names of her social club friends who had blocked her number. "Daniel, bring Mom some water," she murmured deliriously. Sophia stared at her mother with hollow eyes. Once, Daniel's name was forbidden, mentioned only with hatred. Now, it was the only name they longed for. If Daniel were here, at least there would be cold bottled water. Now they drank boiled tap water that still smelled of chlorine. "Don't say his name again, Mom," Sophia snapped, her voice shaking. "He's not a devil, Soph," Ryan replied quietly. "We were greedy. If you hadn't forced him to buy you an iPhone, if I hadn't demanded a sport bike, we'd still be eating steak in that small suburban house." "Shut up!" Sophia screamed, throwing an empty plastic bottle at him. "You enjoyed it too. Don't act holy." Their arguments had become breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Poverty didn't unite them. It made them devour each other. Knock, knock, knock. The sudden pounding on the rotting wooden door froze all 3 of them. Sophia's face turned white. Ryan dropped his knife. Margaret pulled the blanket over her head. Was it a debt collector? Or the police? They had moved 4 times in 3 months, always fleeing at night whenever someone suspicious appeared. "Who is it?" Ryan asked in a squeaky voice. "Delivery package," a courier's voice. They all exhaled at once. "Wrong house," Ryan shouted. The courier left, but the fear stayed. Their hearts kept racing. Sophia pulled a battered Android phone with a cracked screen from her pocket. Using a fake account, she opened social media. Daniel had been merciless. He hadn't just trapped them with bank loans. Their ID data was also leaked to illegal digital lenders. The system was brutal. Group chats were created containing all of Sophia's old contacts. Her photos were spread with captions like, "Corporate thief on the run, selling herself to pay debts." Sophia cried silently, reading the comments on a viral gossip page. "Good, she looks like a gold digger anyway. No wonder broke. Champagne lifestyle, empty wallet. Return my mom's social savings money." Their dignity was completely destroyed. They couldn't apply for decent jobs anymore. Their names were blacklisted in credit systems. Their digital footprints were ruined. "We can't live like this forever," Margaret suddenly said, sitting up. Her eyes were sunken. "Let's find Daniel. We'll apologize. We'll kneel at his feet." "Find him where?" yelled Sophia. "He disappeared. His number is dead. No social media. He's a ghost." "I went to his parents' house last month," Sophia sobbed. "They threw me out. They said a disloyal ex-daughter-in-law wasn't welcome." Silence fell again. Only the rattling fan remained. That night, the real terror came. Not through the door, but through the window. Crash! A stone the size of a fist smashed through the glass. It landed beside a pot of instant noodles, their dinner. A note was tied to it. "We know you're here. Pay up or we burn this place tonight. Collections team." Sophia screamed silently. Ryan turned off the lights instantly. "We found us again," Ryan whispered, shaking violently. "How?" Margaret cried. "We changed numbers." "Neighbors recognized us from Facebook," Sophia guessed. "They reported us for a reward." She peeked through the curtain. 2 motorcycles idled at the end of the dark alley. Their riders stared straight at the house. "We leave now," Sophia ordered. "Where else, Soph?" Margaret cried. "I'm tired." "Under a bridge if we have to. If they get in, we're finished." In total darkness, they packed what little remained into plastic trash bags. They escaped through the back door into a large sewer channel. The stench was overwhelming. Dirty water soaked their ankles. "Careful, Mom," Ryan whispered, guiding her. Rats scurried around their feet. Yes, they were now no different from those rats. Once, they called Daniel trash. Now, Daniel lived clean somewhere. They lived in filth. Under the polluted night sky, Sophia whispered in her heart, "Daniel, you won. You really won." But Daniel's victory wasn't finished. There was still a final chapter. 6 months later. The aroma of freshly ground Arabica coffee beans filled the air at Sky Lounge Cafe, located on the 20th floor of a luxury office tower in a major U.S. city. Soft jazz played, calm, expensive. Daniel Harper sat by the floor-to-ceiling window. He looked nothing like he had 6 months ago. Healthier, stronger, free. He wore a cream-colored linen shirt, sleeves casually rolled up. No more slumped shoulders, only freedom. An iPad Pro in front of him displayed green stock charts. Without financial parasites, Daniel's career had soared. He now invested 70% of his salary. Money once wasted on fake luxury bags and skincare had become productive assets. A news notification popped up. Viral, former socialite caught stealing milk at a convenience store, claims hunger. Daniel hesitated, then tapped. The 30-second video showed chaos. A thin woman with tangled hair was being restrained by locals. "I'm starving! My mother is sick!" she screamed. Behind her stood a limping young man, Ryan, his leg broken from escaping collectors, and an elderly woman staring blankly at the sidewalk, Margaret. Daniel watched without emotion. No joy, no pity, only emptiness. "You reap what you sow," Daniel murmured. He closed the video. They wouldn't go to jail, but viral shame was a life sentence. "Daniel?" A gentle voice.
Sarah, his co-worker, stood beside him with 2 cups of cappuccino. Simple, natural, sincere. "Sit," Daniel smiled, freely. "Looking serious? Stocks again?" "No, just life lessons." Sarah didn't pry. She never demanded iPhones. She brought homemade lunches. "Want to come with me to the orphanage later? I want to donate part of my salary." Daniel nodded. "Of course, I'm celebrating too." "Celebrating what?" "Being saved 6 months ago." They laughed softly. Inside the cafe, futures were being built. Across the street, on a scorching sidewalk, Sophia sat leaning against a pole. She held a cup of donated water. She looked